The Detroit Lions pretty much escaped the preseason and training camp with very few injuries. And after 3 weeks, we have gotten riddled with injuries. And I know we all hated the early bye week, but it actually could be a blessing in disguise. Dan Campbell got in front of the media today. I thought he was supposed to. He got up a little later than usual. Usually it's like 11:45-ish, but he just got finished with his press conference, and he got some pretty devastating news, man. It's kind of discouraging, but it is next man up, all right? The first thing is that according to Dan Campbell, Marcus Davenport is probably going to be season ending. Like, it's not a possibility. He said that they're getting second opinions on it, but that it is very high probability that he is done for the season. And that's confirming what we kind of already knew. But it left that slight hope about possible end to the season. It looks like, barring a few more opinions, Davenport will be lost for the season. So speaking of Davenport, I had to write this stuff down. I would love to go off the dome here, but I want to make sure that I get this out. Here is the bad news. First of all, Dan Campbell's tone, you could tell, man, like he was down. He was down. He sound like he had a heavy heart, because you could tell like it's bad for some guys. Now, if you remember, Derek Barnes went out, and whenever a player puts a towel over their head, it's probably pretty bad. It is a knee injury, and according to Dan Campbell, it is, quote, significant. They have to see if there was any ligament damage, but it's a significant injury. He is going to be out for some time. Somebody asked about an IR stint, if he could be put on IR, and that looks like it could be a possibility that Derek Barnes could be placed on IR. So now it's definitely going to be next man up. Somebody is going to have to make their presence felt for the Detroit Lions. Now, I do believe that there are people on the practice squad, which he mentioned, that this is actually a 69-player roster, that at some point in time, these guys on the practice squad are going to have to step up and make a move, right? And we're going to see that. The good news in all of this is that Brian Branch, Aleem McNeil, and Sam Laporta are day-to-day. That is great news. He talked about the confidence in the D-line depth, and that Levi and Josh Pascal are going to have to step up. And he thinks that Josh played very well yesterday, and that he is going to have to take a load. He's going to have to step up. This does not rule out the fact that we could bring someone else. We still have Isaac Uku on the practice squad. There are still guys that we could bring on this team. So this is how it goes. And I hate to see Derek Barnes go down like that, man. Marcus Davenport, I hate to see anybody get injured. Last year, week 2, we lost James Houston. And to see those guys, man, you work all year, and then you get hit with this injury. And I remember watching Derek Barnes like, oh, Lord, he looked like he was in pain. He looked like he was in pain. Again, it is a knee injury with Derek Barnes. They're seeing now how much ligament damage there is, if there's any, but he is going to be out a significant amount of time. Brian Branch, as of now, is in concussion protocol. So not only does he have to clear that, they have to be comfortable enough to put him in. And I'm going to tell you what, after what happened with Hendon Hooker, after what happened with Alex Anzalone, and after what happened with Tua Tagovailoa, Brian Branch will not play on Monday. It would take a miracle for him to play, because you got concussed, and in 8 days you're back out there. Maybe before the Tua situation, maybe, but Brian Branch, I don't expect him to play. I really don't. You have not seen a guy who got concussed, who is ruled with a concussion, even if they pass concussion protocol. Don't forget that Hendon Hooker was practicing. He was practicing, and I don't think he played, right? I don't think he played. He might have played. He might have played that preseason game. He may have. So maybe I'm not remembering correctly. Put it in the comments below, because Hendon Hooker had a concussion and then he played. I'm not sure, but I'm basing it off Alex Anzalone and the severity of Brian Branch. Brian Branch was out cold. He was knocked out. Did not move, no movement at all. So I do not believe that Brian Branch will be playing in the Monday night game, which sucks, man. It really does. You know what's crazy? It's last year, week 4, he got hurt and missed a couple games. And it's crazy. I got hurt like the week before he did last year. And the last thing was that John Kaminsky, somebody asked about John Kaminsky and his availability. And Dan Campbell was like, yeah, it's still going to be a while. It's still going to be a while for John. So there's It is very possible that even though we do have depth, that depth is now, our depth needs some help now. So it's quite possible that the Lions, I would not be surprised this week if we hear about some people being brought in for workouts. And if a guy like Derek Barnes or Marcus Davenport is going to be headed to IR, so he's going to be done for the season, that will create a roster spot. Who's going to come up and take that? Who's going to replace the person that takes that? Then you have short-term IR as well. It seems like Derek Barnes could be a guy put on short-term IR. So it's going to be, now the Lions have to play this chess game of, musical roster and see who's out there. There's a video I was going to make about a player that we cut as down to the 50, when we got down to the 53, that I might still make that for later today. That might be the After Dark video. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, man. Dan Campbell did say one thing. He said it reminds him of 2021, where we just got devastated with injuries real early. I think you guys remember, I think it was Tyrell Williams came out and wind up getting concussed in the very first game. Went up to grab a ball, fell, hit his head on the turf, never came back, and then never played a snap for the Detroit Lions again. So the Lions have, he said, we've been through this before. We know how to handle it. So, we'll see. I feel sorry for these guys, though, man. I really do. This it's times like this you realize how brutal the sport is, and how one injury can alter your season. If something happened to a guy like David Montgomery, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, like that season altering, you know what I mean? So hopefully these guys, prayers out to all these guys, man. Marcus Davenport, Aleem McNeil, everybody that was injured. It is a brutal sport, man. So hopefully these guys, keep their spirits up and stuff like that. And we'll keep you abreast on any Detroit Lions news that come out. You guys are awesome, man. This channel is brought to you by viewers, subscribers, and members just like you. You could be anywhere else on YouTube, but you choose to rock with me. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.